MP for the NA wants clarification on several issues at the airport. Minister of TEAP fields more questions regarding the Princess Juliana International Airport. And Prime Minister honors CPS Director, epidemiologist Ava Lista de Weaver. Those are the headlines for Monday, March the 8th, 2021. It is International Women's Day. Good evening, viewers. This is SXM Daily News, and I'm Valerie from Pickett. Thank you so much for joining me this evening. And as usual, we have a full newscast, so let's get started. In our first story, today, Monday, March the 8th, marks International Women's Day, when countries all over the world celebrate the achievement of women and rally together for gender equality. First celebrated back in 1911, International Women's Day is an opportunity to celebrate women who have made history and continue to champion change and encourage future generations. Each year, organizers choose a new theme as a banner under which they can unify the direction of everyone's efforts and help raise awareness. Here on St. Martin, the day is being observed under the theme, Choose to Challenge. International Women's Day is a global day celebrating the social, economic, cultural, and political achievements of women. The Prime Minister of St. Martin, Sylvia Jacobs, is the Honorable Minister of General Affairs, and she highlighted some of the many contributions as well as achievements of women locally.
We have seen women rise to the occasion, especially during this COVID-19 pandemic, and exhibit leadership skills in protecting their communities in governments around the world. This International Women's Day theme is Choose to Challenge, raising awareness against bias and taking action for equality. We recognize the fight of women for economic, social, and political rights and celebrate their progress and success. In 2020, we celebrated the first year of the Uwalichi International Women's Day Awards ceremony in recognition of 50 strong and influential women of St. Martin, Saint-Martin. This year, we are celebrating virtually due to the COVID-19 and other operational and financial challenges. Even so, I am thrilled to have the opportunity to recognize all the wonderful women who have made a difference through 2020 and throughout our history. I pray that bringing awareness to our community on the great achievements and contributions of these women throughout the many sectors of our society will only serve to motivate and inspire our young women and girls to be even more and show out both here at home and abroad. In our daily lives and in our community, we have women who inspire us every day. We have women leading in virtually all our sectors, women who are entrepreneurs, doctors and other healthcare workers, lawyers, artists, activists, educators, and so much more, even serving at the highest level of government. Since the achievement of the constituent state status on October 10th, St. Martin has had 2 chairladies of parliament, namely Gracita Arundel and Sarah Westcott Williams, 3 female prime ministers, namely Sarah Westcott Williams, Leona Marlin Romeo, and myself, and many heads of Council of Advice to the late Mavis Brooks Salmon, the General Audit Chamber, Joan Duvalli-Meit, Ombudsman Nilda Ardern Lynch, and Social Economic Council Aldine Bryson Pontiflet, to name the first. But for the first time, out of 15 members of parliament, we now have 5 female members, and out of 7 ministers in government, we have 3 female ministers as well. Government apparatus also has mostly females in leadership in most ministries. St. Martin is indeed leading within the region and the world with women in leadership, in representation, and in equality. We see these changes around the world as well, as the US recently saw its very first female vice president elected in 2020 in the person of Kamala Harris. We stop. We acknowledge and honor the milestones achieved and the persons who have achieved them, even as we acknowledge that despite all of that, there is still so much work to be done in equality. Today, on International Women's Day, I take the time to honor one such woman who stood out to me during 2020 and still does up to today. In my maiden voyage as Prime Minister, I watched her take the mantle of leadership for the Department of Collective Preventive Services, CPS, in January of 2020 last year, and immediately jump into action during the COVID-19 pandemic to help lead St. Martin through one of the most challenging times we have ever faced throughout our history. I honor Mrs. Ava Lista de Weaver for her tireless work while pregnant and giving birth to twins during 2020, devoting herself and her team of dedicated nurses and staff to informing, monitoring, testing, protecting, contact tracing, budgeting, collaborating, advising, reporting, planning, preparing, and executing the vaccination program, giving workshops, and meeting endlessly with stakeholders. You're indeed a quiet giant, Ava, of a woman who I admire your tenacity, your work ethic, and your dedication and vocation as an epidemiologist and head of CPS, as well as your dedication to your family as a mother, wife, daughter, and sister.
Meanwhile, another female leader in our community, director at the Bel Air Beach Hotel, Miss Edna Evans, has stepped up in support of women all over the island and has produced and released a tribute to all women. According to the director, supporting women at work and in our society is encouraging all women to create an environment of hope in a world that can sometimes feel hopeless.
The Bel Air Beach Hotel is proud to support our women at work and in our society by empowering them to be the best that they can be. With this year's theme, Choose to Challenge, we choose to challenge the various inequalities by empowering our women to take on educational courses that will enhance their skills and give them the confidence that they need to become an even stronger voice in our community. We believe that when we empower our women, we empower our world. Educating our women will help them to have a better understanding of the world around them, make them economically better, help them to help their families, and create an environment of hope in a world that can sometimes seem hopeless. We acknowledge and are grateful for the work that our seniors have done for us. We applaud the work that our ladies are currently doing, and we pride ourselves in making the path for those that will come after us. We choose to challenge poverty. We choose to challenge unequal pay. We choose to challenge the violence against our women and girls. We choose to challenge the inequality in the workplace. We choose to challenge stereotypes of women in leadership. We choose to challenge hate. What will your choice be this year? Join the movement and choose to challenge.
And the United People's Party says that St. Martin must be proud of its position on gender equality in 2021 as it safeguards the rights of women and ensures that all women will have an equal opportunity to sit at the leadership tables in our society. The UP Party issued a release Sunday praising its two top female members. It said that St. Martin is stronger today because of the increased role of women in positions of leadership. We are proud of our two top female government officials and commend them on their role in steadying the ship amidst troubled waters. The UP Party salutes Second Chair of Parliament and faction leader Grisha Heiliger Martin and Minister of Tourism, Economic Affairs, Transport and Telecommunications, TEAT, the Honorable Ludmila de Weaver, for their continued leadership in Parliament and the Council of Ministers. The release was issued by President of the party, Francisco La Cruz, who said that the UP Party's goal includes safeguarding gender equality. The strength of women was on display throughout the global pandemic COVID-19, in which women, both internationally and here at home, displayed the type of leadership character that has forever changed the global outlook on women in leadership roles for the better. And as we continue now with more of the Central Committee meeting, Minister of TEAT, the Honorable Ludmila de Wever, speaking at the Central Committee of Parliament meeting, which was adjourned on February the 24th and was reconvened on Friday last to discuss the update on the reconstruction project at the airport terminal and the operational projections for 2021, as well as the structural composition of the company's hierarchy and the reason for the various supervisory boards, fielded several questions from Member of Parliament for the U.S. Party, the Honorable Claudius Boncamper, regarding why lands have not been transferred from PJIAE to PJIAH, and why is a representative of the steering committee representing the Dutch government allowed to sit in such a position. And another question that he asked was, why not our own locals with credentials? The Member of Parliament also asked about a reconstructed timeline, as well as how much more time is needed and why are the names confidential.
Why is it that lands have not been transferred from PJIAE to PJIAH? Yes or no? Is it because of the refinancing agreement that the lands cannot be transferred without the approval of the bondholders? The answer I received is that presently the land is owned by the government of St. Martin, PJIAE, and PJIAH. The portions under the ownership of PJIAE would require approval from PJIAE's current bondholders who have a first lien on these properties, in other words, using it as collateral. There is no refinancing agreement. This clause is within PJIAE's existing 2012 indenture. Why is the representative of the steering committee representing the Dutch government allowed to sit in such a position? Why not our own local with credentials? A European Dutch representative sits in such a position because the government of the Netherlands finances the trust fund, and it is only reasonable that the Dutch government would want some reasonable oversight on the proper and responsible disbursement of the Dutch taxpayers' money. Member of Parliament Boncamper, as for the second part of your question, why not our own local with credentials? I'm not sure what you mean by local credentials, because St. Martin is represented by a former Prime Minister, which is Mr. Marcel Gums, along with Frans Wakers of the Netherlands and Tassine Sayed, who is the country director for the Caribbean and Latin America of the World Bank. So in essence, we do have local representation on that steering committee. Reconstructed timeline was to safeguard the bidding process. How much more time is needed? And why are the bidding committee's names confidential? I will give the opportunity here for the airport to step in, but I will go ahead and provide my answer. The information provided to the ministry is that under good corporate business practices, the names of the selection committee members should remain undisclosed to serve the objective of avoiding undue influence over the process. According to acceptable international business practices, this is done to avoid unnecessary legal entanglements.
And still to come, CEO of the airport fields questions from independent member of parliament. And I'll have the details to that story and more when SXM Daily News returns.
Hi, I'm Switch.
And I'm Save.
And together we're here
to tell you about WIB, Switch, and Save mortgage offer.
Now at WIB, you can save and benefit from great specials when you decide
to bring your mortgage to WIB.
When you switch, WIB will offer you
payment of penalty fees up to 3 months interest,
payment of notary fees,
waiver of bank closing fees,
and also the lowest interest rate.
Plus, you'll have the chance to win back 1 year of interest payment.
Visit any of WIB's mortgage specialists and benefit from WIB's Switch and
Hey, that's my part. And Save mortgage offer.
WIB, your partner in progress.
Welcome back, viewers. You're watching SXM Daily News, and I'm Valerie Van Putten. Also, as a continuation of the Central Committee meeting of Parliament on Friday last, Chief Executive Officer of the Princess Juliana International Airport, Mr. Brian Mingo, who was given time to respond to the many questions about the Princess Juliana International Airport, the airport CEO fielded several questions from independent Member of Parliament Christophe Emmanuel. Some of the questions related to the agreement Schiphol to advise, and is it a conflict of interest to be advising the airport? The question was also posed about appointing the CFO at the airport, PJIAE.
Questions by MP Christopher Emmanuel on the agreement Schiphol to advise. Is it a conflict of interest to be advising the airport and also appointing the CFO at the airport, PJIAE? There's no conflict of interest for the following reasons. PJIAE does not operate under any instructions of Schiphol. Schiphol provides services to PJIAE under the umbrella of the cooperation agreement. The service, among others, consists of advice and support to contribute to the goal of reconstruction of the airport. It's at PJIAE's discretion to seek advice and or support from Schiphol and to decide on the direction of this advice and or support. Schiphol provides a secondee nominee to PJIAE to fulfill the function of the CFO at PJIAE. Schiphol does not appoint the CFO. It is the responsibility of the holding company, PJIAH, the shareholder, to appoint the CFO, in accordance with the Articles of Incorporation. The CFO, the seconded person, shall comply with the rules of the company laws of St. Martin, the Articles of Incorporation of PJIAE, the Corporate Governance Code as implemented by PJIAE, the general principles of good governance, and any management board regulations and or division of tasks and duties implemented by the managing directors of PJIAE. The CFO shall fulfill his duties and obligation to his best capacity, capabilities, and at all times observe PJIAE's best interest. The CFO reports to the Supervisory Board of Directors and acts on the instructions of the Supervisory Board of Directors in the best interest of PJIAE. Question 2. What relationship does Schiphol Airport have with PJIAE? Schiphol provides services to PJIAE under the umbrella of the cooperation agreement. The services, among others, consist of advice and support to contribute to the goal of the reconstruction of the terminal, the airport. The secondee nominee of PJIAE to fulfill the function of CFO at PJIAE. Schiphol does not appoint the CFO as mentioned before. The appointment is via a structure between the Supervisory Board and the holding company. A nominee for two members of the Supervisory Board, so Schiphol also has this in the agreement, a nominee of two members of the Supervisory Boards, one on the Supervisory Board of the operating company and one on the Supervisory Board of the holding company with relevant airport industry executive experience. And this was all agreed upon between governments back in 2019. What implication does that have for the management and staff of the airport? Schiphol has the relevant experience and network to support PJIAE in the reconstruction project of the main terminal building. This supports management and the staff of the airport in bringing this project to a successful end. Overrun cost, question 4. Is there a non-utilization fee? Yes. PJIAE is paying a 0.5% for non-utilization finance fee per year on the EIB portion of the loan. If you calculate this out, of course, this is a 0.5% over 50 million and it correlates to around $250,000 per year. These are financing costs.
The Chief Executive Officer also answered other questions from independent Member of Parliament Christophe Emmanuel. This time it was about if an independent corporate assessment was done on the airport and who conducted this assessment on PJIAE. He expounded further.
An independent, question number 14 from MP Emmanuel, an independent corporate assessment was done on the airport. Who conducted this assessment on PGIAE? The World Bank made a corporate governance assessment of PGIAE. This resulted in a report released on February 2019 with findings and recommendations. The report assessed findings on corporate governance principles, operations of the Supervisory and Management Board, control environment, transparency and disclosure, stakeholders' relations and the role of the shareholder. It resulted in a task force making recommendations for further improvements. What was the result of the assessment? This is question 15 of MP Emmanuel. The result of the assessment, which is a report, resulted in a task force making recommendation to government, to the shareholder for further improvements. Kindly provide a copy of the report. I just want to make mention that the government has a copy of the report. This is a summary report that we have, but a complete report is at the NRPB as well as at the Prime Minister's office. It was also done for them as a customer. Kindly provide Parliament with a copy of the letter that COM has requested for an extension agreement with Schiphol Group. I just want to make mention that the signees parties of the agreement between PGIAE, the holding Schiphol and BZK, that COM did not receive a copy because the parties here involved didn't include the COM. And this is just, I think, it relates towards the cooperation agreement between the four parties. Yes or no? Question 18 from MP Emmanuel. Are other management functions being asked for regarding the airport loan? The answer is no. Question number 19. Is the position of the CEO now in condition for the loan? Like, is it a condition for the loan? The answer of this is no, absolutely not.
Meanwhile, Member of Parliament for the National Alliance, Angelique Remou, also wanted clarification from the management of the airport regarding what is the reason for having an independent agency conduct the evaluations of the managing board, and should this be the task of the supervisory board? She also queried the allegations of AAR Court not having the necessary work permits and SZV arrangement for their workers in place. The Member of Parliament said this is very alarming and therefore would like clarification. The Member of Parliament also queried if there were local companies that submitted bids for the mold remediation bids.
Clarification is, what is the reason for having an independent agency conduct the evaluations of the managing board? Shouldn't this be the task of the supervisory board? And just last week, Tuesday, the 23rd of February, there was an article circulating about the company contracted for the mold remediation works on the airport and allegations of AAR Corp not having the necessary work permits and SZV arrangements for their workers in place. This is very alarming, and therefore I would like clarification on this matter via the following questions through you, Madam Chair Lady, to the Honorable Minister and the persons here representing the airport today. Was there local companies that submitted bids for the mold remediation works at the airport? When was AAR Corp contracted? Did the cost calculation for this project include local taxes and expenditures? Who pays AAR Corp? How many payments have been done so far to this company? Isn't it required to show proof of payment of SZV and taxes prior to making the next payment towards SZV? We see local companies who are not in compliance of payments being fined and even threaten to have their doors closed when payments to the relevant tax department and SZV are not met. Will the same be happening here? What is the estimated amount in taxes and payments towards SZV that this company owe, and for how long? Is there any more foreign companies contracted by the airport, or any more companies with employees working illegally and not making any payments to our tax department and SZV? Who is responsible for checking that the companies contracted are tax compliant and have the necessary working permits in place? When paying AAR Corp, is the payment information copied to the relevant companies like SZV and the tax office and even the labor office? Are there any locals employed by this company? If there are non-locals working with this company, what are the job scopes? Is it expertise that could not be found on the island? Are there any local companies subcontracted by AAR Corp to assist with the works? If yes, which part of this job?
Now turning to our weather forecast for March the 8th, 2021. Patches of low-level clouds may cause a few brief showers during this forecast period. Meanwhile, the Atlantic high-pressure ridge will maintain a gentle to moderate wind flow. Marine conditions are expected to gradually deteriorate over the next few days. Small craft operators and sea bathers should continue to exercise caution. So the outlook through Wednesday midday, partly cloudy and breezy with brief isolated showers. Now let's turn to your 3-day forecast. And still to come, SZV Director takes COVID-19 vaccine. And I'll have the details to that story when SXM Daily News returns.
The innovative Banco Matico contactless smart card. Your Banco Matico smart card is now equipped with a contactless feature for payments, so get ready to tap and go. Contactless payments are fast, easy, secure, and accepted worldwide at all Maestro-enabled contactless terminals. Tap for transactions equivalent to or less than 100 NAF, or the US dollar equivalent. You will receive notifications via email anytime you tap. Tap, tap, and pay fast with WIB. For more information, visit our website at wib-bank.net. Tap and go with your partner in progress.
Welcome back, viewers. And as we end this edition of SXM Daily News for this evening, SZV Director Glenn Carty received his first dose of the COVID-19 vaccine on Friday last, March the 5th, 2021. Mr. Carty is part of the growing group of residents who have decided to take the free vaccine. To take the vaccine or not will always be your own choice. But I do ask that everyone does research on the facts and make your choice based on these facts and your medical condition. Together, we can slow the spread of this virus. The vaccine is finally available to us. Let's make good use of this chance we have to create a new and safe way of life on our island, the director concluded. COVID-19 vaccine info, facts, and registration is available via www.stmartingov.org and the Office of Collective Prevention Services at the Vineyard Building in Phillipsburg. And with that, viewers, we conclude this edition of SXM Daily News for this evening. I am Valerie from Putten, thanking you so much for joining me. And just a reminder that this and other programs are available online. Simply log on to stmartinmediacenter.com for viewing. And on behalf of the SXM Daily News team, we thank you so much for watching and plan on meeting you right back here again tomorrow.